Hello, everybody. The Army of Light Earth Division, the boots on the ground. It's Shawna L. Francis here, and today is January 7th, 2025. Welcome officially to 2025, a whole week. How's everybody doing? I hope amazing. Thanks so much for being here. If you're new to my channel, I am an embodied, conscious channel of the Order of Melchizedek. I've also channeled many other beings of light, notably the Galactic Federation of Light, Pleiadians, and the Galactic Council. I'm really glad that you're here. We are working our way through Revelation in the Bible. The Order of Melchizedek wrote Revelation through John of Patmos back in the day, and they also wrote Genesis. So we've talked about Genesis. We're toward the end of Revelation, guys. Chapter 19 today, and there's only 22 chapters. What's great about chapter 19, it's a big one, in that it describes what many consider to be the second coming of Jesus on a big white horse with his army, and it also describes the final judgment. So we're really kind of getting toward the end of it, and Revelation is the end of the New Testament. That's where the Bible ends. So we're getting close here. Last week, we talked about the fall of Babylon and the harlot and what did all that mean. And again, it's this idea that we are worshiping wealth and material possessions, and that we've really allowed money to become our focus and our drive and our inspiration in this lifetime. And really, this has all been carefully crafted by the negative reptilian regime, who is running things behind the scenes here, not for much longer in the scheme of things. Just another 1,000 years, no big deal, right? And, chapter 19 starts off with, hallelujah, Babylon has fallen. We can move on now. We've got to put all that aside and make room for the new earth. And I'm not going to actually read out of chapter 19. And I want to shout out to Chrissy. Thank you so much for posting all the chapters as we go through them, each of these videos. I appreciate that. Oftentimes, there's not enough space in the description to include that. So thank you for doing that, Chrissy. I appreciate you. All right, so Revelation chapter 19 starts off with this hallelujah, like I said. And I'm going to get right into what Melchizedek had to say about this. Okay. Dear ones, the final judgment. It shall come to pass that the negative reptilian regime, as well as their allies, will be placed before a council. There will be an official reckoning, and the judgments shall be swift and concise. They shall be cast out of this plane of existence, never to return, gone forevermore from this beautiful planet, from this jewel in the cosmos. May she be restored to her whole self, revitalized, replenished, and ready to accept all of you who have said yes to this ascension path with open arms. Hallelujah indeed, a time for rejoicing. May this abomination never occur in any other sector of this universe or beyond. What's beyond the universe? Oh my goodness. The mystery. We took a break and they continued. The negative reptilian regime is being removed with an iron fist, and their removal will be permanent. Always saying like with an iron rod, or an iron fist throughout the Bible, like they're kind of just using this as finality. All the angels in heaven, the 24 elders, he who is described as riding on a white horse or sitting upon a throne. These represent all who bear witness to the change in guard. Earth will no longer be ruled by darkness from the shadows, the ultimate deception and betrayal, the flagrant thwarting of free will, the subjugation, the suppression, and the torture. Whew. Okay, 24 elders, again mentioned throughout Revelation as being part of God's kingdom. Speaking of torture, So on YouTube, I have watched a few videos around P. Diddy and what's going on there, and the really exposing his inner circle with all the ritualistic stuff that we've been talking about now for years, coming out really in quite graphic detail, actually. So you know, Melchizedek, in coming into 2024, they said this is going to be a big year for disclosure. There's going to be a lot of things coming to the surface, between Epstein and P. Diddy and all the other things that are coming up. We do have a good start here on seeding consciousness with this information, as hard as it will be for people to really believe. It's happening, and there's plenty of folks who are carrying this torch now and really exposing this for what it is. I see in 2025, 2026, a lot more information coming forward about some of our most famous people on the planet. And it's not going to be good. And it's going to be heart wrenching for a lot of folks to have this even be a possibility. I know it seems kind of like our normal here around here. We've been talking about this for a while, and many of you, before you even found this channel, knew about these things and it registered as truth for you. It's just going to continue to fall. This facade's going to continue to crumble. All right, Melchizedek continued here. We've covered a lot of ground the last several months as it pertains to the Bible and how we'd like you to know the Bible. We would also like you to know that the verses were never intended to leave you feeling distraught and hopeless about your futures. We, the Order of Melchizedek, are incredibly grateful for this very unique opportunity to at last bring to humanity the real intentions behind these words, intentions that had to be shrouded in a bit of mystery and hidden between the lines in order for this text to survive and serve many generations. We hope that our words today provide you with much needed clarity, a large measure of relief, knowing that this last judgment, this final judgment, was never intended to be about humanity, but in actuality, it's about your oppressors. The world is ready to know. Consciousness is ready to be seated with this information, with this knowledge. Wow. So what do you think about that, guys? I think, again, for most of us who are resonating with these messages, it's like, yeah, we figured this. Excuse me. It just seems to me it's been just such a core part of the teaching of the Bible, this big last judgment. And, it has served a purpose up to this time. But now we are ready. Consciousness is ready for a new understanding. It's a good thing. Melchizedek. The Bible has been bastardized. It has been twisted. It has been compromised. Yes, there are core teachings here that have served many in positive ways. The Bible has helped bring people together throughout the centuries, yet at the same time spreading you all apart through ideology and dogma. While this may not have been a perfect interpretation of all these passages, we do hope that our intentions here for the information come through clearly and that you can feel into this new understanding. All right. We gauge the listener's reaction to these words. We understand that, quite frankly, many of you will be disappointed not to have a line-by-line review of these chapters, given their importance to Christianity as some of the most basic tenets of what the Bible has represented up until now. And for that, we apologize. We only wish to bring you our truth, shining some light and somewhat reset understanding of these words for an ascending earth. I love this. And, they talk a lot, they've said this before. we talk about this as the living word. These words are going to change and morph and evolve with the evolving consciousness. So with this chapter, chapter 19, I've even, like, we got through most of this and I'm like, well, Melchizedek, what about, is this the second coming of Jesus? And we know from a channeling that they did back in November of 2022 that the second coming is really, it is our embodiment of Christ consciousness. And they said back then people are going to be disappointed that Jesus isn't going to ride in on a white horse. Here we are talking about Revelation with this white horse, and that it's actually the embodiment of Christ consciousness by humanity. It is that is what the second coming is. So yeah, and I'll leave a link to that video from 2022 if you want to refresh your memory. If you haven't seen it before, you can watch that. A couple other things in here too. Like the false prophet is mentioned in here. And as we get into chapter 20, they talk about kind of throwing the beast into this lake of fire and brimstone for eternity. But then it says, oh, after 1,000 years, we're going to have to let this guy out. So I wanted to ask about that. So they're basically, this is what they're really talking about for today's channeling is the fact that the last and final judgment is not about judging humans. It's about judging our oppressors, the negative reptilian regime. Okay. Melchizedek continues here. Humanity hasn't been ready until now. As we've mentioned before, we lament the end of the age of innocence for humanity. And at the same time, we celebrate how far you've come and where you sit today, beholding these words and saying yes to new possibilities. This one who sits in the chair following along, trying to understand the bigger picture, yet also being very cognizant of the details, knowing that so many have pored over these words line by line for centuries. Dear one, we'll say that we want to address all of your questions and concerns about our channeling as we feel it is time. Okay, so that was what I was referring to. We got toward the end of this and I'm like, well, Melchizedek, what about this? What about that? What about this marriage of the Lamb and this supper that we're talking about and some of these other things? And it's like we're not quite ready to dive into the rest of that. Okay. And then here their last few sentences for today. Where do we go from here? Truth be told, we are going to express with some fluidity in the coming weeks. Many changes are underfoot, dear ones, and we'd like to take this on a week-by-week basis with our dear one here on the ready to support us with this approach. And that is where they ended it today. All right, so yes, I'm more than happy to be fluid here, be nimble in terms of what we're speaking about. This means we may or may not be actually wrapping up Revelation. It depends on what's going on with the energies. All right, and remember when they talked about 2025, frenetic, chaotic, volatile, and there definitely seems to be that kind of thing going on. And I have to say, they are not happy with this type of disclosure here. They're very irritated with what we have going on here and what we are disclosing, how we are seeding consciousness. The Galactic Federation of Light back in the day said, you are going to have the largest repository of negative reptilian information out there. And we are, Melchizedek says we're there. I'm actually quite proud of this. And I love that I can say that now, that I am feeling so kind of grounded in this path and in this mission and who and what I am in truth and how I am serving in truth, that I can sit here and finally say, I'm extremely proud of all the disclosure that we've brought about the negative reptilian regime suppressing, subjugating humanity for all this time, and the role that we are playing with seeding consciousness in this phase of awareness. Melchizedek's talked about this many times. So we're here, guys. We have talked hours and hours and hours about the negative reptilian regime. We have torn this apart up and down. And I'm so excited to get this book going. And that's really going to be kind of like the cherry on top of the cake here. All this information, 3 solid years of talking about the negative reptilians through channeling about them. So yeah, this is a little thorn in their side for sure. We're certainly not stopping, but of course, negative reptilians are very cunning and they are angry and they have put a price on my head. So I'm not afraid, but I will defer completely to Melchizedek on how they want to where they want to take us next and what they want to be talking about and how we approach the disclosure from here on out. And we're just going to let all these seeds just germinate and grow and blossom and bloom. All right, I'm going to leave you with that. I do plan to see you next week. My birthday is actually January 11th, 111. And that wasn't cool until just a few years ago. So yeah, my birthday's 111. And then after that, I'm done having birthdays. And it's absolutely, yeah, time to be done with birthdays. Okay, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for all your donations. Thank you for all your support. I love and adore each and every one of you. And again, I hope you're doing amazing. Let us know in the comments what a team we have, guys. We're going to roll. We're rolling with it. Okay. Love you much. Mwah.